security concerns. The Israeli foreign minister, meanwhile, has also confirmed that no staff were inside the building at the time of the incident. Authorities say the situation is now under control. This is Adam Mara for A News in Istanbul, Turkey.
Well, to better understand this event, we're joined now by Ajmal Sahel, a senior counterterrorism and national security analyst from Berlin in Germany. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Mr. Sahel. It's very good to have you with us on Prime Time. I mean, putting the sort of geopolitics to one side for a moment and just zoning in on this as in terms of the mechanics of what's taken place. Typically, when these sorts of incidents happen, how is it that individuals go about being recruited? What sort of tends to happen in terms of the sequence of events?
Thank you very much for having me. So the recruitment process or model for such a scenario is hybrid. It's both digital, online, and also physical. So how digital it happens, of course, terrorist organization, they use the encrypted apps for, that there was a bunch of them that offer this possibility. And the second is, of course, the physical or face-to-face. There are a bunch of the people who are meeting face-to-face and decide to plan such an attack. But from the operational point of view, it is a microcell. It should be a microcell like people of 2 or 4 people, and the majority of 4, and there should be around 2 people. And then they decide, they plan, and then they provide the materials or the logistic support and whatever is necessary, and they do it, and finally they decide to act.
And typically in the work that you've done, have you noticed that people use platforms that you and I might use, that our viewers might use every day, well-known social media tools, or is there a whole sort of range of networks and tools that the general public would just be unaware of?
So of course, that is what is the public mail in exchange or platforms, and we have the same platforms operating through the dark web. So the dark web makes it possible that the 2 people are communicating with each other. They are not even known to each other, probably by whatever means. But when someone is monitoring these digital platforms, and it would be difficult to find out who is talking to whom. This is the one possible. And secondly, even in a public domain, there are the platforms they are using. They use the encrypted system that could be very difficult to monitor or to find out or to track. And secondly, they use a specific terminology for. And it takes some time for counterterrorism activists or for counterterrorism forces that they could realize what this means, because it also makes it difficult from country to country, from region to region. Probably for the counter-terrorist organizations, known specific words or specific terms. But in other areas, there are different terms are used. So to know each and everything, that would be very difficult. And of course, everybody knows that no terrorist organization will use like they're ready to attack or something like that. But for all these have this specific terminology, and that really complicate the situation for the counterterrorism activists and also forces.
And Turkey, like many other advanced countries, has a sophisticated counterterrorism capability. Istanbul is predominantly a safe city, but how do these organizations or these individuals manage to occasionally circumnavigate that sort of situation?
So the first thing is the complexity or again, as you said, to put aside the geopolitics of this attack, but still, the political complexity makes the situation more possible for any organization or any cell to operate. So, uh, diplomatically, you have to protect the Israeli embassy or Israeli consulate, which is predominantly this is the part of the Israeli, land, whether it is in the form of embassy or a consulate. Diplomatically, you have to protect it, but politically, for political gains, some of the politicians they say, for example, they criticize Israel, and this make it possible for a lot of locally radicalized or transnational terrorist cells to be inspired by these sort of narrative when the state of the country says that Israel is a terrorist country or Israel is how can I say, in relation to Palestine or in relation to Iran or in general in relation to the Islamic world, and you criticize this, you give this possibility, or indirectly you inspire, indirectly you encourage your own citizens to stand up against the Israeli as a country or as a nation, and then make it possible for sort of attack. But nonetheless, there are all the time a blind spot left. Of course, I know that the security is very tight. There are some checkpoints. There are CCTV cameras on. But despite all of these things, it is known to everybody that Israeli installation would be attacked, and specifically Turkey, because Turkey is already chosen as an operational arena for a bunch of the terrorist organizations. Why? Because the first thing is it is as a NATO country, as a member states of the NATO, it is one a symbolic movement here or point exists, and the second is the Israeli. However, as you said, and everybody knows that the consulate is not operating. Probably there would be some technical staff there, but there's no diplomat, there's no political attaché, there's nobody at all. But still, it is done against that. Why? Because it is symbolically shows that in any sort of attack against Israeli, wherever there is Israeli flag or Israeli institutions, that is the image. This is against the image of the Israeli. How the hate environment is developed against Israel, even not only inside Israel, not only in the region, even in European country, Israeli institutions, Israeli installation, and even the Jewish institutions are attacked. And this shows the symbolic act that they hate against the Israeli government and the Israeli policy in the world.
Yeah, I suppose, Ajmal, like many other countries, Turkey must, I guess, expect to be able to hold positions, to allow its citizens to have different views without the fear necessarily of terrorism or violence, just like in Europe, just like in the UK and in other parts of the world. What are the key warning signs or vulnerabilities that governments, security services are looking for, do you think, to prevent these incidents in the future?
As you know that the psychologists say is an emotion. Behind each emotion is a strong feeling. So the counter-terrorist organizations, particularly in Turkey, they should develop model of pre-emotions, which is when they should monitor the change of a style. When they see, when they simply monitor that someone is suddenly changing their style, or tracking weapons, so from one place to another, or suddenly someone is buying weapons or interested in shooting, and then of course these are the physical things that one could do. And the other thing is all these platforms, they have to monitor it vigorously and actively, that the communication is between the people, or there is a sort of revenge or sort of slogans, things like that. They have to monitor and filter each and everything to keep on. And the other thing is, as I said, of course, the checkpoints, they have to have the permanent checkpoints in the areas, and then they have to have this establish more CCTV cameras, and also controlled access to the area. When an area is really sensitive, they should be controlled access to that. Not everybody is allowed. Maybe there would be a person is not armed, or the person is not suspicious, looks not so suspicious, but you have to keep the record. And secondly, a sudden car rental happens, or logistics, which are predominantly used in sort of attack. So you have to keep on that. And also the nexus between the organized criminals and the terrorist organizations. So all these things that one should monitor, and when you, give more possibility or more position to such sort of activities, then it may lessen or it make it less possible for terrorist organization to operate in such a target and choose such a target.
Very interesting analysis. Ajmal Sohail, we thank you very much indeed for joining us on Prime Time. Okay, after the break, we'll take a look at the remaining news from around the world. Do stay with us.